listening to Sports Radio Detroit.
Welcome to Grave Discussions. I'm your host, Barnabas.
And I am your co-host, Samael. Welcome one, welcome all to episode 59. All aboard the horror hate train. We'll explain what that means later.
Choo-choo.
And everyone's on it.
Yeah, we are going to do that. Basically, we're going to be discussing kind of the overall negative perception of horror movies in the present day, and really kind of recently in the past few years. So that's coming up in our main segment. But first, as always, we have to give a quick shout out to Sports Radio Detroit for hosting our show.
Yes, and you can catch them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. That's SRD, Sports Radio Detroit, not Detroit Sports Radio.
Get it right. So let's start the show with what's been going on in the world of horror over the past week or so. The first story is an unfortunate one to start us off, but
I'm happy about it.
Okay, yeah.
just because everyone likes it so much.
Well, yep. Santa Clarita Diet, which has been very popular on Netflix recently, has been canceled officially. So,
yay.
I haven't watched the show. I have heard great things about the show. You know, I do want to watch it. It's more of like a horror comedy, but I mean, it looks pretty good. I'm glad to see Drew Barrymore kind of popular again, sort of. And Timothy Olyphant always does a great job. So, I don't know. Have you watched it?
No, but like every fucking white girl in her mid-20s watches it. So that's why I'm like, yay.
So, yeah, guys. I mean, let us know what you thought about it if you did see it and what you think about the cancellation. I don't know if another network might pick it up or something, but with how popular it was, I'm sure we'll see a petition or two. Now, on the other side of the coin, we do have a renewal of a TV show, and it is The Twilight Zone.
Thank God. I haven't watched like the newer episodes recently, but I'm going to. I've been putting it off just because I bought so many goddamn movies recently, so.
Yeah. No, you have a huge list of stuff, and I understand because I do too, just a huge backlog to watch. So I get it, but the new episode I actually heard was very good, so I do need to check it out. But yeah, coming back for a second season. It's already been renewed. It's going to be on CBS All Access once again. So yeah, I mean, stay tuned for that one. We still got a few episodes of the first season to go. So
yeah, don't go jumping the gun already. All right there.
Yeah, but hey, it's really good so far. A lot of people seem to like it. A lot of people seem to hate it too, but you know, we enjoy it. So let's move on to our next story here. Just some interesting news for Eli Craig, who did Tucker and Dale vs. Evil and Little Evil.
We got a new horror comedy coming out called Bride and Doom.
Yeah.
Really? Like, really? Oh, it's these Crypt Keeper like metaphors. Like, everyone's kind of like jocking off him now, and it's, I don't know, Bride and Doom. Maybe Bride and Gloom, you know, that would have been, I don't know. Doom is just, I don't know, it's so fucking cliche.
Well, I don't know. Maybe they just like couldn't think of any titles.
Described as Cloverfield meets Big Fat Greek Wedding.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Follows a young couple struggling to hold on to their marriage during the worst possible wedding day imaginable. So based on this description, I can only assume that they're getting married and a gigantic monster pops out of the sea or somewhere and just crashes their wedding. I hope that's what it is. Honestly, if that's what it is, I'll watch it.
Unless it's
straight up
zombies.
Oh, I hope it's not really zombies. I don't know. I mean,
well, Doom and Doomsday, so it might be some apocalyptic shit.
That's what I'm thinking.
Like a fucking nuclear holocaust on their wedding day.
Oof. I don't know. I'm still getting the big monster vibe. So I'm thinking that it might be some kind of like, what if it's like a big, like devil god or something like crazy like that?
God damn it.
So yeah, guys, be on the lookout for Pride and Doom, coming from Eli Craig. I mean, so far, Tucker and Dale and Little Evil were pretty good. So
Little Evil was badass.
yeah, you still gotta watch Tucker and Dale because
For some reason I haven't watched that shit because I'm not hip.
It's actually funny and it's actually well in tune with like horror tropes and cliches and stuff, you know. But
Okay.
yeah, it's dope. So guys, let's move on and announce a couple new trailers, and then we're gonna get into our first segment. So the first trailer that we have is Critters Attack, and this one's coming out July 23rd on digital and Blu-ray, and I don't think it has anything to do with the new show, but it's a new movie in the Critters franchise, the one that's been kind of talked about.
Yeah, I think it's canon to like the first 4 movies, you know, like continuing that. And I don't know what the new binge is about, really. I haven't started it yet, but this one looks kind of all right. There's a lot of teenager stuff going on, which is cool because like I didn't like. I like when I don't see familiar faces, you know what I mean, in a horror movie, because like I'm so sick of like the stereotypical like same 5 teenagers in every fucking horror movie. Like they have like 10 teenagers that they just put in every like teenage horror movie, and it's just like, all right, that's cool and all, but I'm tired of seeing like Chloe Grace Moretz and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, I don't recognize any of these kids or anybody. Dee Wallace comes back though, which is dope.
Oh, that's cool.
She was in the original, and now she comes back. She comes back kind of as like the Laurie Strode of Critters. She's got like a gun.
Yeah.
And it just looks crazy. So
I think it'll be pretty badass. Critters never really. I mean, I watched the first one for the first time in like at least 15 years recently, and I fucking still loved it. So
yeah, it's great. I mean, as long as they keep to the spirit of the original, which it looks like they're gonna do. They have all the practical effects. It looks like it's gonna be pretty gory. It's rated R. So
the Krites.
Yeah,
show us the Krites.
Yeah, I do want to see the Krites. So you're going to be able to see them in July. Be on the lookout for that one. The next trailer is for a new slasher movie, which has been kind of well received in the festival circuit. It's called The Ranger, and it's coming out May 9th on Shudder.
It looks pretty badass, honestly. I like that they made it look like hella retro. Kind of. Look, it's retro in terms of like how the people are dressing, and like the type of camera I guess they're using. What are they using, like a 35 millimeter for this shit? That's what it looks like. But the thing that these modern movies are really missing when they try to be throwback is like they'll have that old grainy look, but they won't have that 80s style cinematography, which kind of takes away, for me at least, from the retro aspect. Like it's hard for me to like imagine this in like the 1980s when like the camera work doesn't really match up to like what you see in like, you know, The Prowler and Night of the Demons and stuff like that. You know, it's just completely different.
Yeah, even like Summer of '84 didn't really the House of the Devil felt like that had 80s cinematography, but a lot of movies kind of failed to capture that. I guess it depends. Sometimes I think that it's intentional for it not to feel like 80s cinematography, but still have that graininess and like, you know, some of the effects. But so I think it really depends. This one I'd have to see the whole movie, but I do kind of agree with you. And I like that it follows like these punk rockers.
Yeah, that's what I like the most about like the 80s, honestly.
Well, this one has those vibes, but it's actually about these punk rockers who go up to a cabin in the woods. Of course, it's like a retreat or something like that.
It always is.
Yeah. And I think they're trying to get away from something. But anyway, this park ranger finds them, and he apparently has some kind of past relationship with one of the girls. And from there, it seems like it turns into more of like a real like slasher movie. So I'm into it. A lot of people have said it actually was not that good.
Oh, really?
But again, from the festival circuit, it was pretty well received. So
I don't know. The setting kind of reminded me of that movie, The Final Terror. Remember?
Yeah, kind of.
That it really gave me those vibes, and like Just Before Dawn too. And I really like those movies. So
I think that if they can establish the setting well, it'll be pretty okay. But
I think so. I think it's probably a lot better than most people are trying to give it credit for, because if something is going for like that 80s kind of throwback style, like there's not really much you should like expect from it that you didn't expect from like 80s flicks. You know what I mean? Like,
well, guys, if you have Shudder, check it out on May 9th and report back. But we may be covering it in a future show. So the last trailer is for a supremely pretty creepy looking horror movie called The Cleaning Lady.
Yeah, so this chick, like she suffered like an accident or whatever when she was like younger. Her face is burnt, the rest of her body's normal. And then apparently she's also crazy. So yeah, this movie just goes to show, man, treat people who are different like monsters, otherwise they might kill you and they're crazy.
Yeah, it's tricky because, basically this movie is about this cleaning lady who becomes attached seemingly to the person that she's working for. So it's either like, okay, you can be nice to them and then they're going to be like creepy and attached to you, like that chick from, was it Unfriended or Friend Request?
Friend Request.
Friend Request, yeah. It's either that, or if you're like, fuck you, mutant, or something, and just are an asshole to them, then they might just murder you anyway.
This one looked like she just kind of like snapped for no reason. She just became obsessed with like the chick she was working for and like randomly kidnapped her and like tried to like kill her boyfriend or whatever the fuck. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah,
maybe she got the hots for her, you know what I'm saying? Because I mean, that shouldn't be like a really taboo thing nowadays, but some people still consider it. Whatever. Like girls get hot for girls and guys like guys.
I think she's just jealous of her. You
think because she's really pretty and
and I'm sure she's been like abused in her life. That's what it kind of seems like.
Oh yeah,
for being a freak, quote unquote. So I think that's what might be happening, but we'll see. It does seem like it's going to be kind of psychological, but there were some cool, creepy action sequences too. So I do want to check this one out for sure.
Yeah, I do too. And June 4th. Oh, yeah. Dude, I can't believe it's almost going to be like. Dude, our birthdays are like 2 months away. What are we gonna fucking?
And one more month until like Child's Play and a bunch of other movies. So let us know what you think about all the movies that we've covered so far. You can check us out on those social medias, and we'll provide that a little later on. But we're going to get into our first segment, where we're going to look at a cult horror film, and that is in the Cult Corner. And in this week's Cult Corner, Samael, we have a pretty undiscovered classic, I feel like. And
yeah, I don't think a lot of people really give this the credit it deserves. I mean, it came out in a weird year, so it was an 80s film, but it came out in like 89, so on the brink of like, this was basically like the 80s last, like, here you go. Like, goodbye 80s.
So, Madman, released in 1989 by director Tibor Takacs. I don't know how to say your name. I'm sorry. But this one was pretty cool. I feel like it's definitely kind of underlooked. I haven't really heard a lot of people talking about it. It recently got a Blu-ray re-release.
Yeah, about 4 years ago, I think.
It was like 2015. Yeah, yep. So about 4 years ago. And still, I feel like pretty underlooked. I had no idea about it until recently, and I just watched it very recently. And honestly, dude, this one kind of surprised me. I liked it.
Yeah, it surprised me too, because what really got me about this movie was like the villain himself. Like nothing else attracted me to this movie initially when I saw it. But I looked online, and there's this list of like movies you need, like horror movies you need to watch if you haven't. And Madman was on it, and then like saw the dude with the white contacts and the needle, and like he had half a face mask, and he was pretty tall, like fucking weird looking hair, and like the trench coat, and like, dude, that's all the characteristics of a great movie villain. So I was like, I'm sold. Let's check this out.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting, honestly, like how he came to look that way. And I was attracted to it initially, actually, because of the whole like book angle.
Yeah, same.
Because it's like this woman is reading a book, and all of a sudden she's seeing this weird guy, and all these murders are happening. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Usually when something like that is involved, it can either be just super harebrained and shit, or it can actually be pretty interesting. And I think Madman was definitely the latter. And I think it did a great job. You know why, though, too? Because I feel like it really just kind of threw you into it and didn't really explain much.
Yeah, it didn't. It just like, it kind of like...
There's almost no context, too. It's just like she's literally just sitting there on the couch reading a book, and then shit starts happening.
Yeah, you could kind of put two and two together. So it was pretty implicit, you know. It wasn't like in your face, like, this is what's going on because we need to insult you and like spell it all out for you. at least that's how I feel when horror movies like explain shit like right off the bat. Like I feel hella insulted when they don't just let us unravel it. Because I mean, but most people need that, you know. They need that. Hey, this is happening because if a lot of people, if they watch this movie nowadays, well, they didn't explain why. So had to. That was my little preview of our rant on horror fans. But anyway, Madman. It starts off kind of wacky with that fucking monster with the really bad like. Was that CGI back? Is that?
It was either CGI or just.
It looked like stop motion animation.
Sometimes they do stop motion and then they basically they put it in post.
We'll say digital effects. We'll call them digital effects. So it starts off with this like digital monster and he attacks someone and
it looks just like the monster from like Subspecies and the Gate, like
the same thing.
Like if one of those monsters fucked the other monster. Yeah. And this is what came out.
This is what came out. Yeah. They're the baby, the Madman.
And in retrospect, we learned that she was reading a different book.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like a dream. I think it did a good job.
Yeah, because right off the bat, I did not know that. Like, I thought that was going to be the movie. Yeah. I was like, oh. And then like all of a sudden it changes. It's like, nope, that's a book this one blonde chick with glasses is reading. And you're like, the fuck shit? Oh, this is how they're introducing the main character. Haha.
Yeah, because the character in the book looks like her. And I thought that was actually pretty clever.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when you read a book, you're kind of putting yourself in the shoes of the main character. Maybe not if you're like opposite genders or something like that, but you could even still just place yourself in there, you know.
Oh yeah, it's easy.
But you know, because you want to relate, and that's kind of what this movie gave off is, you know, she's really invested in these books, but these books might also have some kind of a power to them.
Yeah,
which is pretty cool.
So when she puts the first book like finally away that she's been reading, and she looks for this another book called Madman. It's nowhere to be found, not even at the bookstore where she works at.
It's nowhere.
Yeah, with her friend Mona.
Mm-hmm.
And she one day gets it on her front doorstep. So she just assumed Mona put it there. Mm-hmm. So she's like, all right, I'm going to start reading this. And like later on, she realizes as she's reading this book, the events are starting to happen in real life. So she thought she was, I thought, everyone thought she was kind of losing her shit and this was all going to be in her imagination. But then she sees like the murder of like her next door neighbor or whatever, the
pianist.
Yeah, the pianist. But
what do you want me to call him? A pianist? Like
the guy who played the piano got killed. And that's when we first like. I thought two things. One, okay, she could have been imagining that, and she could have just went and did it because like he lived pretty close to her, and then like all that other stuff was her brain's way to try to like calm her down and be like, no, it's this one guy with hair and he's killing people. But then as the movie unfolds, you see that real life is unfolding kind of like the book is. The exact same type of deaths. And then we later find out. So Virginia, she goes to Malcolm Brand's publisher. And she because she saw like the book Madman was nonfiction.
Yeah.
And the other book was like nonfiction. So she goes to his publisher and like the publisher tells her how he was like basically in like a schizo or something, and like he was convinced that all this like weird shit was like real and it was like more of a happening than like a story. And then
so that was kind of the explanation scene.
Yeah, exactly.
But it didn't feel like too forced because you still didn't really know what the fuck was going on.
Yeah, nowadays they'd like there would be like a 15-minute dialogue on like what's going on, you know, like this is real, this isn't a book. Like okay. And then once that shit happens, she teams up with her boyfriend, the detective who works with the police, and they try to, you know, do a sting operation on what's his name, Malcolm Brand, who is also Dr. Alan Kessler. Like it's the same guy. Even though they didn't like explicitly say it, like it is the same dude, you know. So like this character in this book is Malcolm Brand, like this crazy doctor who hunts these women. And one thing I want to mention about this movie is that it was actually fucking creepy. Like when he found the redhead and like he chased her down, like, and then he was standing at the hallway and she was trying to unlock her door, and then he just fucking put his foot in and injected her with some formaldehyde or whatever.
That was pretty creepy.
And then the other creepy scene is like when she killed that one dude in the alley, and he was just like, when he was just standing there all fucking posing with like the fucking face he just cut off or the nose he just cut off. That was pretty badass, I thought. Overall, like, In creepiness, I would give this movie like a 9 out of 10 because I was very unsettled watching this. It wasn't like those cheesy 80s flicks where you're just like, whoa. Besides like when the monster showed up. Who, spoiler alert, ended up being the monster that was responsible for his death because you remember they said they found him and it looked like he'd been chewed up by like dogs or something. But
Deus Ex Monster.
yes.
Basically.
Dude, even when he like cut the monster in half and it still came at him.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you right now. The whole like digital monster made me take like a 1.5 off of this movie just because it was really bad.
Oh yeah,
they completely could have cut that out. That's the only really pretty
downfall of that of Madman.
Yeah, honestly,
not the even downfall. Like one negative thing about this movie.
Yeah, it's just because like the atmosphere, the practical effects, everything else about it, other than that, was actually really well conceived and like well produced. But just that monster was so out of place and weird. But I mean, I get why it existed because it's like supposed to be from a book or whatever. But they could have just put something different in the book. You wrote the book. There's no book like this, you know. Like you could have wrote in something else that wasn't like a digital monster, but whatever. That was like my only real gripe with this film. But yeah, everything else is really cool. I like he kind of left out one creepy part. I felt like where he like scalped that woman.
Oh, in the fucking bathroom.
Yeah,
the redhead. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
That was
but you're talking about kind of like the lead up.
Yeah, I was talking about the lead up. That wasn't
but
really...
when he actually like did it.
Yeah, that was gross because
it was pretty gory, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be so gory, honestly. It just was.
I'm glad it was. I mean, it's cool. You know, it's really giving us a glimpse into like this crazy shit that's happening.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty badass. I didn't think he was gonna scalp her though.
Mm-hmm.
But I should have figured when like he was talking about there's something brunette, there's something blackhead, the bleached blonde, like good old red. I was like, what does he want from her? And then he took her fucking hair, and that's what gave him that crazy looking hair in the movie because it's not his. It's just like falling apart and shit. And apparently he thinks if he cuts parts off of other people, that it's gonna make him look better. He's like, yeah, let me just craft myself.
Yeah, because he's obsessed. He's obsessed with the main character, who, like in the book, is like you know what was clever? Whatever.
In the book, her name was Jenny.
Mm-hmm.
And in the movie, her name was Virginia.
Yeah, kind of.
But the character who plays Virginia's real name is Jenny.
Oh, is it?
I think they did that on purpose.
Yeah, Jenny, like, right.
I'm not Jenny. It's like, yes, you are.
They do that sometimes. Sometimes they'll, for whatever movie, they'll just find an actor and be like, oh, your name's Matt? Okay, your character's name is Matt.
Yeah.
You know, like that's it. But yeah, I thought that was clever. I mean, she obviously portrayed like both characters, and when the guy presumably crossed over from the book into the movie, he went after her. So you know, it's almost kind of like an amalgamation. Like that part, I feel like is very Dracula-esque almost, and him like putting himself together with new parts is very like Frankenstein-esque.
Yeah, you're right.
It's kind of cool. You know, it's definitely sort of a throwback if you look at it that way, which I appreciate. But yeah, he was like trying to make himself look pretty for her, and because he cut off his like nose and ears and everything, because she thought he was ugly.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's kind of interesting, like portrayal of obsession.
And then like she asked her boyfriend, Richard, would you cut off your ear for me? He's like, no. Yes. I don't know. Why are you asking me this? Like,
yeah, guys. That's pretty much what we think about Madman. Overall, I really liked it. It surprised me. I wasn't expecting it.
Dude, I thought it was gonna be bad. I thought it was gonna be bad. But honestly, you know why I thought it was gonna be bad? Because usually when I see like a badass looking villain, the movie usually sucks.
Yeah.
But now this is a badass looking villain, and the movie was also badass other than the digital effects.
Yeah. No, I think it's cool. I mean, I think that Malcolm Brand or Dr. Kessler deserves more attention for sure.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, yeah, apart from the digital monster, this was actually like a moody, well-paced, atmospheric horror movie, and it had like a lot of gore. It had a lot of kills, which was nice, and they were all pretty gory.
It was cool because it was like an atmospheric slasher with like a supernatural twist. The book is real life, like in the mouth of madness type shit.
Yeah, kind of like our cult corner pick last week, Superstition.
Oh yeah.
If you guys haven't listened to that episode, you should definitely do so. But yeah, that's all I have to say about Madman. Definitely go check it out. You can buy the Blu-ray. I think it is available for rent somewhere.
Yeah, you could get it off Amazon though. It's
I think so.
not expensive.
Yeah, so
You can rent it off Prime, I'm pretty sure.
I think. Yeah, I found it elsewhere, but yes, be on the lookout for it. If you come across it, I think you should definitely check it out.
It might be on Tubi, I'm not sure. Just check Amazon Prime and just look for it.
Yes. So, guys, we're going to get into our next segment here. But first, a couple words from some SRD shows.
Because I feel like a salad tossing might feel good.
What? Unabashed Detroit Podcast. Tuesday morning and Friday mornings here on SportsRadioDetroit.com.
Hi, this is Jason Pinkett from Pucking Around and Spinning the Wheels on Sports Radio Detroit. Check us out every Sunday over on the SRD Hockey feed on Spotify, TuneIn Radio, Podbean, iTunes, and Stitcher. That's SRD Hockey in your search bar. New episodes every week.
Welcome back, Fiends, to our main segment, where today we're going to be discussing kind of the overall, negative perception of horror fans and just kind of people in general about the genre and about, new horror movies specifically. I would say from the last, 4 or 5 years or so, there's just been a lot more people I feel have been cropping up saying like, oh, horror is dying, horror is dead, there are no more good like horror movies coming out, stuff like that. And I mean, I've been seeing it online a lot, so I kind of wanted to address it, especially in the wake of like Child's Play and stuff like that. There's always like a few movies throughout the year where the really like negative, hateful kind of shit just pops up, and I feel like we're kind of in that mindset right now. At least a lot of people are. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, see, that's the thing with horror fans. There's only like a few horror fans like on Instagram that I'll interact with because like we have like basically the same taste in movies, and like no matter even if like a movie's like hated and it has 4 out of 10 on IMDb, like you'll find at least like 10 other people who will actually like it and be like, yeah, they didn't really give this one a chance, yada yada yada, and like those are the type of people I like. Even shitty movies like Slaughterhouse Massacre, like you could find some like good things about them. Like the atmosphere was all right. It was probably one of the worst movies ever created, but
Yeah.
it's still like funny. So like it gets a pass. But there's some people that can't like see through that little that just little fragment that they need to see through, and it's like, dude, look past the shittiness of the movie and like start paying attention to like the stuff you like about a goddamn movie. And like horror fans are so goddamn hard to please. They're either like, nope, sucked, brah, or like the shittiest movie of all time, like La Llorona. Like they'll be like, oh my god, it was so good, it was the best, it was so much better than the Pet Sematary remake, even though the Pet Sematary remake was like leaps and bounds better than the original.
Mean, people have been saying, like, oh, I liked the movie, it was enjoyable. That's fine. I mean, if you like the movie, then great, you like the movie. If you hate the movie, then great, you don't like the movie, but I feel like it's really now growing into this thing where every kind of announcement, every trailer or somebody is just going to be like, this looks like shit, horror sucks,
and it's always
what's going on.
And then you click on their profile and like they can't like read past like a 5th grade level. It looks like,
I don't want to get like too personal or anything like that, or to like take sides or anything, but it's just true. Like, there's like a good percentage of the horror population that are like this, they just kind of, they pre-fire. They're like, oh, this movie's going to be trash, I'm not even going to watch it. Well, if you're not even going to watch it or like have any type of positive reaction to it, like I might check this out, then
if right off the
you're
bat,
really
you're
closing yourself off.
You are like, that's the definition of being closed-minded. Like, no, this movie sucks, bitch. We just released a second trailer for this movie. What the fuck are you talking about, you dumb fuck?
Yeah.
Like the whole Chucky thing, let's talk about that. I think people aren't giving anything a chance because of nostalgia, and that's about it. Just because you grew up with a certain Chucky doesn't mean like that he's the best Chucky, just because he was the first. Like a lot of same people will be like, oh, Kane Hodder's the best Jason. It's like, still that's heavily opinionated and sort of biased because you prefer Kane Hodder in the original movies, yada yada yada. There's a lot of factors that can attribute to why someone would or wouldn't like a horror movie, and I think most of it has to do with nostalgia, because I grew up watching Child's Play. It was one of the first horror movies I ever watched besides Jason Goes to Hell. And like I loved Chucky when I was a kid, and I loved Leprechaun, and I love them. So like honestly, I'm actually like a diehard fan of Chucky. So like no matter what comes out that's Chucky, I will buy it and like I will watch it. Like even if it's like not to my liking, at least from the trailers and stuff like that, I'm still gonna give it a chance and like root for it because it's Chucky. And people are like, no, it's not Chucky, it's remake Chucky. It's still Chucky and it's still Child's Play. So like we have to give stuff like that a chance. And like that's the thing about being like, you know, critical of movies, or even just having an opinion on movies and being able to review them like without like being blinded by nostalgia and like emotions or any of that stuff that a lot of horror fans like have. And that's what really stops them from giving a valid opinion. You know how they say everyone's opinion matters? Yes, but everyone's opinion is not valid. You know what I mean?
Right.
We all have an opinion, but most people do not have a valid opinion because they can't give us an objective like critique of the movie. Like, oh, you know, I not even objective, you know, like just be like, oh, I didn't like the cinematography. I felt like the use of medium shots made it too personal with the characters for a movie that wasn't made to be taken that seriously. And it's like, okay, that type of stuff I can understand, and then people can argue against that, be like, no, I actually thought the medium blah 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 blah. It's all opinion based. But like the thing is with horror fans, like they do not want to give anything new a chance, whether a remake or a reboot or a sequel comes out. Everyone's like constantly tearing it up, like, and trying to like destroy it before it like gets any notoriety. Like, and that's the thing with being a horror fan. And if you're going to critique anything, you have to go into it with an open mind, which I think that's what a lot of people need to stick with. And I think that's why a lot of horror fans are like mad, because it seems like a lot of directors are directing movies in like a subgenre that they're just not suited for. I think that's what the problem is mainly. And
Yeah.
I think if we had more directors experimenting with like different grounds in horror, I think that would give them like a better reputation and at least a little bit more notoriety, because I feel like a lot of directors are just being like lazy. Like James Wan, like, come on, bro, enough with the supernatural shit.
Okay,
like,
so let's talk about that. Okay, because yeah, I get everything that you're saying. I think kind of to put it into a nice little box is that, you know, people really have a lot of pre-bias, a lot of cognitive bias about movies. And yeah, like I used to watch Alien with my dad when I was growing up. You know, like that's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Yeah.
If you put almost any movie up against it, even a new movie, and you ask me to choose, I'm gonna be like Alien.
Same thing with me and Halloween.
You know, yeah.
You know me, I grew up with my parents and my sisters and Jason. So to me, nothing is better than the first Halloween.
Right.
Like,
but you know, I think it's just counterintuitive to go around and say, oh, this movie sucks ass before, you know, you've even seen it, or just, you know, again, preconceive these notions and expectations and stuff.
Like, it's like we just said, it's because it's not a new concept.
Right.
It's a remake of someone's, not only a movie, but someone's some people's whole entire childhoods. You know what I'm saying?
So that's what I kind of wanted to get into, is the remakes, the sequels, all that stuff. I feel like largely takes place in mainstream horror, right?
Yes.
A lot of, you know, the movies that hit the theaters, that's like mainstream horror. That's the stuff that you see a lot of sequels of and remakes of and stuff like that. And it makes complete sense. Obviously, you know, these are the big studio movies. They're meant to make money, but they're also the movies that I would say a large portion of the horror community, the horror fan base, even casual fans, like casual fans and like hardcore, like passionate fans, you know, the real similarity there between like those two audiences is that, you know, they have theater horror movies.
Yeah.
And that is largely like what they watch.
Yeah.
You know, and then that leads into another thing, which is, you know, independent movies versus mainstream movies, theater movies, you know, because independent movies exist. You kind of got to look for them a little harder, or maybe kind of, you know, come across them on like a group or a web page or something, but they're there. And I would say over the last 4 or 5 years or something, that's not only where a lot of the division comes in, but that's where a lot of like the really good horror movies are coming.
Oh yeah,
You know,
most definitely.
I mean, we've had some hits for sure. Jordan Peele's movies, obviously, Hereditary. I mean, there's been a lot of, successes at the box office.
Oh yeah,
But
well-deserved successes,
Yeah.
by the way.
but both of our number one movies last year was an independent horror movie.
Exactly, Summer of '84.
Right.
Which honestly, I don't think anything even this year is gonna top it for me, because that's probably one of the best horror / mystery / thriller movies like I've seen. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and not just like recently. Like, that's probably one of my favorite movies of all time now.
Mhm. Yeah. And
Up with like Terminator 2, Halloween, fucking Hocus Pocus. Like, it's up there, dude. Like,
And I mean, that's not that hard to watch either.
yeah.
You could find it if you really wanted to find it. But a lot of people really kind of stick to the theater. They won't really browse around on like Shudder or Netflix or anything like that. Or they'll just even like skip movies that they think look dumb for whatever reason. So there's definitely a lot of, I think, mental things that are factoring into this.
I think so, yeah.
And it's kind of unfortunate because I think the intentions are good. Like, people want to kind of force studios and directors to think differently, to
Yeah.
come up with more original shit, to not just keep grabbing for cash, etc., etc. But at the same time, they're still going out and watching these movies and buying movies and commenting on them and just driving up the presence, So one thing leads to another. Like, people talking about the movie is going to make other people want to go see the movie.
Yeah.
And that's just going to keep fueling the machine. So
Yeah, I
You know?
guess.
So yeah, I feel like there is a lot that goes into it. But if you're one of those people who think like horror is dying, yada yada,
You're not looking.
yeah, you should really look at stuff that's streaming, festivals, stuff like that,
Yeah,
and you'll find good horror.
The independent circuit, honestly, you want to know the best way to find horror movies that you haven't heard of? Go to Amazon, click in the search bar, and just type in horror or horror Blu-ray.
Mhm.
You'll get a lot of independent movies, which is, I think, in my honest opinion, I think horror movies should always stay independent. Like, even when they have like a big theater release, I don't think like Ghost House or Blumhouse should really do like movies that are supposed to be like franchises. Like, even the big franchises like The Conjuring and Insidious, keep those. But like, I think the next big things in horror should be kept like not on the hush hush, but like, I think having a cult fan base is the most important thing, because Chucky has a mainstream fan base for the most part. So of course they're gonna say like, oh, this fucking sucks, when they, like me, I went to go see Bride of Chucky in theaters. I went to go see Seed of Chucky in theaters, and then I bought Curse of Chucky on DVD when it came out, and then I watched Cult of Chucky when it came out like the same day on Netflix. And so like, there's like, Chucky has a lot of mainstream appeal, and right now I would say Chucky is mainstream, even though like it has a cult following. But like I said, if we keep horror in the independent sector and we only let talented filmmakers, that's the asterisk here, talented independent filmmakers like Adam Green handle, I think Adam Green's the fucking future of like horror in general. But
not if he does another Victor Crowley, but yeah,
Victor Crowley was very lackluster, but I'm gonna ignore that because of like Hatchets 1 through 3 were like all surprisingly just as good as each other, which is rare for a horror franchise to like pull off. Hatchet 2 was just as good as 1, 3 was just as good as 2 and 1, and then Victor Crowley was so tame compared to like the other ones, at least like until shit started going off. I just felt like it was lackluster because like it chose to be slow burning when it didn't need to be.
Yeah,
like,
but no, overall he's a talent for sure. He's got a good mind for horror. And
Justin Seaman, he's releasing a they're funding The Barn 2 right now on
nice.
Not GoFundMe, the other one. Indiegogo, yeah, that's
there
it.
You go. There you go.
And then Scream Team Releasing is going to try to release it like they did with originally The Barn and Cherokee Creek and all that stuff. So
yeah.
I feel like if we keep things in cult circles, I think it'll be fine. That's how you'll find out like the true fans, because like, let's take Evil Dead for example. This is why it was so successful. Evil Dead was independent. You know, we had Evil Dead 2 and Army of Darkness, the trilogy, and it was a badass original trilogy. And Sam Raimi did not like ever like sell out or become like a huge like mainstream like, you know, like everyone knows Sam Raimi, like they know like, let's say like, you know, John Carpenter, for example. Like
Nowadays maybe a little more so, but
Yeah.
not back in the day.
Exactly.
Really.
So like that's why when the Evil Dead remake came out, no one had qualms about it beforehand nor afterhand, because the people who hadn't watched the original enjoyed this one because it was a good remake, and the people who were fans of the original also enjoyed it because, one, cult fans are dedicated. Even if like a cult movie releases shit, they'll say it was lackluster, but they'll never shit on a movie they love.
Yeah,
Like,
I went to go see the Evil Dead remake like 4 times in the theater.
dude, I saw it once. I think I went, and I fucking love that
It was
movie.
great
It's
every
so
time.
good.
Yeah, it was awesome. So yeah, no, I completely get what you're saying. Basically, you know, there's 2 aisles here. One is the filmmaking community itself, you know. I think like you were saying, the independent scene is doing really well, but I think there still could be more variety. You know, I want to see more cool ideas, like even stuff that's coming out from like the endless filmmakers and stuff like that, you know, just these cool ideas. I want to see that. And I'd love to see more original stuff from Blumhouse. I'd love to see James Wan direct something again. I'd love to see more stuff like that. I hope Ari Aster really explodes, you know,
'Cause, I mean,
he's making original stuff.
Look at Dark
So-
Skies, bro. That was a badass movie.
Yeah.
It's hella underrated too because of all the other supernatural shit that they do.
Yeah, it's pretty kept in the dark, I feel like. And that's not even, you know, the most unique, crazy idea ever. It's basically an alien abduction movie, but the way that they shot everything, the way that they edited it, it was awesome. So
I agree.
Yeah, we definitely need more of that.
I think we also here's what horror has been missing a lot: horror hosts, which need to come from the independent circuit. By the way, I don't want fucking Tom Cruise standing on a fucking stage. Welcome, horror fiends. Like, we need some like 2 random guys, preferably guys who run a podcast. Let them just find someone to do a horror show and like horror stories. I'm down. Let's relaunch Tales from the fucking Crypt. I will write the episode. I will sit in my room and I will write out the fucking weirdest shit you can think of and try to keep it true to the original. I'm saying, like, let's bring back like these horror shows like Goosebumps and fucking Are You Afraid of the Dark, even though that movie's coming out.
Yeah.
We just need more like, because I think those people are extremely important to like the culture of horror. Like horror hosts were probably like if we had a real like Peter Vincent Vampire Hunter show, and he was the host, like that would like, that's the thing, like it doesn't feel like a culture anymore. It doesn't feel like a horror community. Everyone's so divided. But like back in the day, you know, watching Tales from the Crypt, everyone fucking watched Tales from the Crypt. That was like one of like the central points of horror that would like keep the community. You love Tales from the Crypt? Fuck yeah, everyone loves Tales from the Crypt. And like the host would come on, hello boils and ghouls, like, and you know he's talking to the same people that watch the show every week, even the new viewers. And like, I don't know, man, it just feels like there was more solidarity back in the day when we had horror hosts. Like it felt like it was more important when you have someone on like Elvira. Like when you had her, like, welcome, she's greeting you, and like that's when the horror community felt like in solidarity, when everyone was like together.
Yeah, dude, we did do an episode on that, and you know, like Joe Bob's still kicking, and there I think there's a few others around, especially like local ones. But I agree. I mean, I hope that like continues, and I think we just need, you know, love for horror. Yeah, we just do. Everybody. So that's,
right now it's just, I think it's just. The first thing, you know, when horror started going awry, and like, I don't want to like say there was like a trigger point, but it had to have been like the subsequent release of all these paranormal cookie cutter movies.
I think at that point it just started getting very trendy, and it's understandable why people were upset. But yeah, guys, let us know what your thoughts on it. We do have to wrap this segment up, unfortunately, and move on. But I think it's a super interesting discussion, and I think that there is definitely a lot of animosity in the community right now for a lot of stuff. So yeah, let us know your thoughts, but we're going to move on now and check out a new streaming horror film and let you know if you should watch it or if it's been chopped on this week's Chopping Block. And on this week's Chopping Block, Samael, we have a new movie, 2018 actually, to just come out on Shudder, called Monster Party. Monster Party is basically about these 3 kids who plan to rob the wealthy employer of one of them. They're like a butler or something like that.
Yep.
So, yeah, they come on the night of this get-together that this family is having. And everybody looks kind of weird, kind of off. And, you know, obviously they're not aware that these kids are planning to rob them.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the setup. And that's where the conflict begins. You know, they're there with ill intentions. They want to fucking rob these people, and these people don't know anything about it. But they seem kind of different, you know. And honestly, pretty quickly, you figure out why that is.
Yeah, Monster Party, the title does not give away the movie, nor are we going to reveal what actually happens or the general premise of this movie.
Mm-hmm.
We're just going to give a critical analysis in terms of technical aspects of it and how the movie delivers what it's trying to deliver.
Mm.
And I think I really enjoyed this film. It was super bloody at times.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoyed the music ball scene when that thing came out. That was probably my favorite part, honestly.
That was pretty cool, yeah. Now, to your first point, I'll throw this out there because I did read a review that kind of said that a lot of the bloody scenes and stuff were kind of unsatisfying because a lot of what was happening was off screen. So how do you feel about that?
I feel like that actually is better because, like, I like when someone's like, they show someone chopping at the floor, but they don't show what they're chopping at, and there's blood squirting everywhere.
And those noises.
Rather than just explicit, like, hey, you know, this guy's cutting this thing into pieces, and like, I don't know. I feel like when you show too much, that like, it's like I said, it's insulting to our intelligence if anything is spelled out or like just. It's not an exploitation film. You know what I mean? It's not trying to like shock and awe and disturb us for no reason.
Oh yeah, sometimes stuff like that is put in specifically to be shocking, like any Lars von Trier thing, the house that Czech built or something. You know, like God. That shit is shocking, but I can see it, you know, so it's not like I have to imagine what's going on because, yeah, often that is much scarier.
Yeah.
When it's just your imagination, when you're in your head, like that's how you get afraid, you know, so yeah.
And obviously they showed the aftermath after, like, the attack, so I don't know why people, the gore didn't do it for me. What, you sick fuck? You need to watch someone get their fucking dick chopped off, like, every fucking second of that?
I will say, though, that the very first scene of action where everything hits the fucking fan,
it's all
that was
once.
cool. That wasn't really off screen. It was quick, but I liked that. And then from there, it just like the momentum didn't really stop.
Yeah, no, it didn't.
Which was good.
I really liked it. It's crazy. Did you know this film was shot in 17 days?
Yeah, I read that. Yeah, it's pretty nuts. It's pretty cool. I mean, the good thing is they had one location. They used the location well. You know, it was this like humongous Malibu mansion.
Cole from Charmed is on there.
Yeah, Julian McMahon, all grown up. I mean, he looked kind of old back then anyway. Now he's like way older. He's a dad. He's got a weird mustache. That whole like goatee set me off as to like, all right, this guy's weird.
Yeah.
Something's off about him because only like super villains have a goatee like that. You know?
Yeah, if you don't have sideburns, like you're probably a killer.
Yeah, probably. So, yeah, dude. I mean, the cast was cool. The characters, The main 3 like characters who I guess we were supposed to care for, I didn't care about them at all. That was the unfortunate thing. Julian McMahon was cool. Robin Tunney was cool. There were a couple other people that were pretty cool. Lance Reddick was in this. He was kind of awesome as sort of the de facto leader. But yeah, I just didn't really care about the characters that much. So this movie was really more of like, here's this one thing that just happened to happen.
Yeah. I thought it was like an incredible coincidence that they just decided to like rob a mansion that just had this. I'm not going to ruin it, but you know what I mean. Like, what are the odds that they would like, that these are the type of people they would run into?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Oh, it's a little ham-fisted, I feel like. and just ridiculous when you do find out what's happening. But narratively, the movie, you know, I could have done with a little bit better writing, at least to make me care about the characters, because I really didn't. But once the twist kind of happens at essentially the first act of the film, you know, shit hits the fan, and the script kind of gets tossed out the window at that point, just because it becomes a battle for survival kind of horror movie.
Yeah.
So that part of it, I don't know if I liked as much, but it was still entertaining and fun.
It was. I don't know what people are complaining about.
So I think that definitely raised it to a different level for me, because I actually just liked seeing what was going to happen next. You know, like I was anxious with anticipation, basically.
Yeah, same, honestly. I didn't think it would unravel the way that it did, especially with the ending.
Mhm.
I didn't expect it to end the way that it did, because it was like
No.
hella like Quentin Tarantino-esque, you know what I mean? You know exactly what the fuck I mean.
Yeah.
Like, it was just off the fucking wall at the end. Like, protagonist grows a set of balls and
Mhm.
goes crazy because of a traumatic experience. He's probably gonna have to register to that group soon.
Oh yeah. I mean, as far as like camera work, cinematography, score, stuff like that goes, editing, it was all okay.
It was pretty. It was.
I can't really like say anything special about
Yeah, but
any of that, but
nothing special, but nothing bad at all. Like, I
mhm.
can't really say anything super critical of this movie other than the fact that, like, the characters' choices. A lot of the characters, like, make choices that just realistically people wouldn't make. Like,
Mhm.
basically at one point, I'm not going to spoil it too much, but somebody has a gun and they don't use it right off the bat, and that was, like, the main problem.
Mhm.
And that's what set off basically, like, the pre-climax of the movie. Like, right before, like, the whole climax of the entire thing, like, this thing happens, and you think the protagonist is all in the clear, and nope, he fucks up because he lets someone who doesn't have a gun thwart his plans. I thought it was fucking that was really the only
Yeah, it's-
unrealistic part. If anyone runs toward me while I have a gun, I'm gonna like shoot them in like a split. The second I see anything even move a muscle, like boom, like right away. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, some of those obviously movie character decisions were a little ridiculous and unbelievable. So I will say that, and just the fact that, you know, after a while, you understand what this movie is, and you kind of want it maybe to do something different, or for the characters to do something different. It really doesn't, but it did kind of continue to impress me. So I will say, for me, this movie was not chopped. If you're in the mood for a pretty wild ride, you should definitely check this movie out.
yeah, not chopped for me either. You could find this movie on Shudder or on Amazon Prime, and just or buy it from Amazon. Honestly, it's worth having, but I'm probably not gonna watch it again for a minute.
Yeah, the replayability, as it were, on this one, or you know, the rewatch potential is not super strong for me.
No, not really.
But for even just a one-time watch, I think it's cool. This is a good like weekend kind of movie to check out, or like an afternoon movie.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, guys, if you do check out Monster Party, let us know what you think. You can talk to us about everything we've discussed on the show today on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter. Just search for Grave Discussions or Gravedisc SRD for Twitter. And we also have a website, gravediscussions.net, where you can connect with us, check out episodes, read host bios, and much, much more. That's going to do it for episode 59. We'll see you next week.
On Fright Night. No, I'm just kidding. On Grave Discussion.
This has been an SRD production.